Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights, and welcome for a 2 for Tuesday. Yeah, this is going to be just a little bit different 2 for Tuesday here today. But anyway, jump in on this open tag. All channels are invited. Grab a couple knives and just talk about them. It's a lot of fun. Well, today, like I said, it's going to be just a little bit different. But we have two iconic, classic, military utility or camp style knives, scout knives. And the first one here is this U.S. Army engineer's knife, and then I have this U.S. Navy utility knife. These are both World War II era, or at least the initial contract was formed for through Camillus during World War II. They could have kept producing them after the war for the civilian market, but we are going to be discussing that here in just a moment. Well, we're going to be doing just a little bit of a technical review here because I was very fortunate and come across some old Camillus documents. They're on the internet, some of the spec sheets and the drawings and descriptions of the different knives they made during World War II. It goes without saying there were several different varieties of these scout knives, or as the Navy called them, a utility knife. So you can call it a scout knife, a camp knife, utility knife. Or in the case of this top one here, since it was contracted for U.S. Army Engineer Corps, or for U.S. Army engineers, they called it an engineer's knife. Get this out of the way right off the bat. I've been working on this knife. I cannot get these. I was going to re-glue the scales on. I can't get rid of that gap. I'm thinking I'm going to have to just replace these scales, maybe put some wood scales on. I just cannot get it even. It's all uneven. I don't know what's happened to it, if it's warped a little bit, but I can't get it back on without any gapping. So I'll just get that out of the way right away. So I'm going to be putting a spec sheet up here, and it is going to be on the U.S. Army engineer knife. And as you can see, the document's dated 10/27/1943, and you can see the USA shield on there, but this is not the correct spec sheet for the knife that I have, because if you look, let me pause here. Okay, if you look, you'll see it doesn't have this little notched out spot for the can opener. Okay, so this is not the exact spec sheet, but it is still interesting to read. You know, it shows it's a four blades with a clasp, first made with brass linings and nickel silver bolsters for engineer in 1940. So I guess maybe the original ones in 1940 did not have that notch for the can opener, and this is a later model. Let me see. In 42, we made some of the knives with steel linings, steel bolsters, and brass center scale. Also made with USMC on the shield for the Marines. And then the 14L 55 first order place 10/5/42, made all steel. No new specifications issued, although they were suggested. Shield stamped USA. And the specifications come from the U.S. Army engineers. So this one does have brass linings to it. Other manufacturers was Imperial, Cattaraugus, Ulster, Utica, Case, Powell, Queen City, Aerial Cutlery, Kinfolks Incorporated. And the contracts in 1940 showed 57,882. In 1941 there was 83,384, and the list goes on. 42, 43, 44, and 45. And then down in the bottom right hand corner it says sub-government contracts. So they made some. When they say sub-government, I don't know if that means for still the government, but just not for the Army, or what that means. Okay, now I'm going to put up a spec sheet for a very similar knife, but it was for the Navy, and it was ordered through the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery. And as you see on the shield, it says MD USN. And if you look just above the shield to the left, you'll see a very little notch right there. So this one was ordered in 43, it looks like. Or is that 45? These documents are, nope, 43. So perhaps the engineer's knife I have is the 40, you know, the style they started making from 1943 forward. A lot of these were just the same knife. It was just a different shield put on it. But let's run through the specs and see if it kind of matches the engineer's knife I have. It says it's like the 14 F31 Bone Stag 14/4 Scout. It has a spear, a punch, shield stamped MD USN, brass, and something 5 tang, 8 inside, must be the pins, round haft, and NS clevis. Then there was a 14 Q2 that was all steel Bone Stag. Well, this one here has brass liners to it. So the specifications was Bureau of Medicine and Surgery jackknife, Boy Scout type, spec 4 blade, all blades is forged, carbon content, Rockwell C scale of 56/61, center lining brass or steel, marking MD USN on shield or cutting blade. And then something no shield required. So maybe they made some and didn't put a shield on it. The other manufacturers was Schrade Cutlery, Utica Cutlery, Imperial, and Russell Harrington. Contracts, it says Camillus, 3 contracts, and Imperial had portion of their contract of April 1943 rejected due to 2-piece can opener being defective. So the engineer knife I have looks like it meets more of the specs of what they are calling the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery camp type knife. So once again, you notice this one's labeled a camp knife. The other one, the Army knife, was an engineer's knife. And now in here just a moment, we're going to go to this USN knife. Okay, as we start to look at the Navy knife, here's one of 2 spec sheets. And you can see there's 2 models listed here. It's the same knife, a utility knife. So the top one there is the Navy Department 4-blade utility jack, stag handle, brass lining in center, scale, steel bolsters, and new long shackle, bladed spear, pen, new can opener, and long screwdriver. Cap lifter, springs clear inside, then the one down below it. Again, utility jack, stag, brass lining, center scales, steel bolster, and new long shackle. Bladed spear, pen, new can opener, and long screwdriver. Cap lifter, but it says black tangs, I don't know, and springs painted inside. Springs painted inside. Okay, on this second sheet, this very top one is the one model that I believe I have. The only difference is it has, it doesn't have the stag handles to it. But you know, this is wartime, and just because this is what they ordered, maybe this isn't what they got. It's just hard to say. They were just trying to put stuff out as quick as they could. But as far as the basic knife, it's described as 4-blade, stag handle, brass lining and center, which this one has. Steel bolsters, this appears to be steel. New long shackle, bladed spear, new can opener, long screwdriver, cap lifter, and a plain punch. So this knife does have a punch to it. The springs painted inside, black tangs, and then I don't know what the SFAA is, and then it's like, and I can't read it, but with punch blade instead of pen blade. That's why I think I have this model here, 14?25. I think it's an S, but I don't know for sure. It's just unreadable. And then they go to another one that's the 14?26, and it says cellulose, something. And then new solid tech art handle. Something bolster, brass liner, bladed spear, pen, new can opener, long screwdriver, springs painted inside. Same as some model with something. I can't read it. So I know it's not that fourth one there. So I think the third one there that shows that it has the punch, why that is the knife we are looking at. Now you can see why there's so much confusion when it comes to collecting old knives, especially when it comes to military knives. Again, when you're making them during the war period, you're just pumping them out absolutely as fast as you can to try to fulfill your contract, you know, and hey, get it out to the troops and to the sailors and to the airmen. They need them. So even though a spec sheet might call for bone handles, maybe they ran out of bone, got short supply, so they started making, you know, these type of handles to them, the synthetic type handle. I don't know. It's hard to say. Or, yeah, because the one said cellulose, so maybe that's cellulose, but they had extras of these, so they started putting these on the ones that were supposed to have bone on them. I don't know. And of course there were several different companies that made them. I do know this for sure though. If I see that shield and it says MD USN on it, I'm snagging it up. Or if it says USMC on it, or anything close to that. Who knows what kind of knives are made out there by the different manufacturers. Oh, and I did want to say one thing. Another thing that makes me think that this is a Navy knife, and I took a picture, I drew or put some permanent marker over the blade to try to draw it out, but there's an eagle on there, and to the right of the eagle you can just make out like KNI, something for knife, so I don't know what came before it. I don't know if it said Navy knife, USN knife, I don't know. But just so much fun researching these old knives, and I look forward to getting this one completed, maybe with some new inlays, and then I do have to get this one restored yet also. Make sure and check out my playlist of all my restoration videos. I also have playlists on my buck knives, case knives, just slip joint knives in general. A lot of good refurbishing videos out there, so make sure and check those out. And until next time, have a very delightful day.